Good evening. This evening, the Tomball ISD Board, the meeting of the Tomball ISD Board of Trustees is called to order at 5:32 for the October business meeting. For the record, a quorum of the board is present. All trustees are in attendance tonight. The meeting is being recorded in accordance with Government Code Section 551.128. The board discussed agenda items during the workshop meeting last night, so we may move rather quickly through some of the items this evening. Tonight, we will begin our meeting with the opening remarks offered by Dr. Pratt, pledges led by Mrs. Salem, and our mission statement recited by Mr. Shield.
For my opening remarks this evening, I have prepared a prayer, and if you are so inclined to participate in the prayer with me, please rise. Lord, look lovingly on this group gathered here during this meeting as we discuss and deliberate on issues of importance to this school district. Help us be guided by your Spirit. May we be wise in our discernment, balanced in our judgment, fair in our decisions, and visionary in our planning. May we be always mindful in our words and actions of what is best for all children in our schools and school district activities. Lord, please bless those family members of our board, district administration, our school staff and teachers who are ill at this time, and we ask for their comfort and thy healing hand. Hear us, Heavenly Father, as we offer our prayers to you, the prayers we have said, and the silent prayers of our hearts, through your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Join me to the pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
And our new mission statement for Tomball ISD. Tomball ISD empowers students to become impactful, contributing citizens by providing innovative, individually rigorous, and personally valuable educational experiences while partnering with the community.
All right, great. You can sit down, but hey, go back on that slide real quick. Can anybody go back on that slide? Yes, so that is the first time we have recited the new mission statement in the boardroom. So,
Great job.
yes, that was our strategic planning committee developed it, Exceeding Excellence 2030, and then the board approved it last month. So, anyways, that's a shout out on that. At this time, we do have one individual signed up for public comment on agenda items. Mr. Payne, are you here? Mr. John Payne, are you in the audience? Okay, well, before we address the agenda, we have to do the comments on agenda items. So since Mr. Payne is not here, I'm afraid he is not going to be able to address the agenda item. Non-agenda items, speakers for non-agenda items will come later, but this is just for agenda items. Okay, well, with that, we will move on then to our reports. This evening, the first report is going to be delivered by myself, and it deals with the annual board training hours. And I've got a long statement to read, so just bear with me. As a State Board of Education rule, completing required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As board president, I am required to announce the name of each member who has completed the required continuing education, has exceeded the required continuing education, and is deficient in meeting the required continuing education. The requirements for training are measured as of the first anniversary of the date of the trustee's election or appointment or 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training as applicable. There are 8 training areas for board members' continuing education: local district orientation, orientation to the Texas Education Code, post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code, team building, additional continuing education, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals, identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children, and the last one, number 8, is school safety. To the extent applicable to each board member, I will announce the completion or deficiency as to required training. For members who still have time remaining to complete required training, I will announce those board members who have scheduled timely training and those who have not yet scheduled the training. At the conclusion of this announcement, I will announce any board members' training in excess of the continuing education requirements. Local district orientation. No new board members were required to complete local district orientation training for the time period covered by this announcement. Orientation to the Texas Education Code. No new board member were required to complete orientation to the Texas Education Code training for the time period covered by this announcement. Post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code. No new board members were required to complete post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code training for the time period covered by this announcement. Team building. All board members have completed the annual team building training. Additional continuing education hours. All board members have completed the additional continuing education requirements. Evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. All board members have completed the biennial training on evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. Identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. All board members have completed the biennial training on identifying and reporting abuse and trafficking. School safety. All board members have completed the biennial training on school safety. Exceeding required continuing education. Board member John McStravick exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 31.5 additional hours. Board member Justin Unser exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 21.5 hours. Board member Lee McLeod exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 4.25 hours. Board member Mark Lewandowski exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 41.5 additional hours. Board member Matt Scheel exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 5.5 hours. Board member Michael Pratt exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 8.5 hours. And board member Tina Salem exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 28 additional hours. All right, that concludes our annual board training hours report. Okay, we will now move into the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
A motion is made by Mr. Lewandowski, seconded by Mrs. Salem. Is there any discussion?
My only discussion, because I think this is part of the consent agenda, was the budget amendment. Aren't those part of consent? And I asked about this, but I thought it might be a conversation for the board, that the TIA monies have come into the district, and so we're setting up accounts to do that. And I'm just, a few questions. So it's about $2.5 million. Is that about right? About $2.5 million. 10% of our educators have been awarded those monies. Is that about right?
I don't have the percentage.
300, not even 10, more than 10.
It's more.
Yeah, more than 10.
Of our educators.
I don't have the exact percentage, but we can get that for you.
Okay. And the TIA monies are, that's the teacher's incentive allotment. These are dollars that the state has approved. And maybe all of you know, but just speaking it so those that don't know might understand. These are additional dollars for growth. And these are teachers who have been awarded for their efforts. They've grown their kids. It's awesome. And so I was thinking through this and wondering about all of the core classes where they can earn those dollars, but there are a lot of, what are some of the classes they can't? There's no opportunity to earn additional dollars. What are some of the courses, teachers, disciplines where that's just not an option? I'm just curious.
Currently, the area that they're ineligible currently would be like PE, fine arts, but we have core courses, special education, and CTE are all eligible.
And I think it's important to note that we are probably one of the leading districts as far as how robust our reach is. If you recall, The initial plan was far less. It was a stretch in working together with the board to say, can we include more? And we did. Now, that did extend the time. We were in originally cohort D. It extended. We did not meet validation because of the extension, but we're very fortunate that we did now. So this is the number that we will remain at for some time, moving forward. It's not a plan, it's not a fluid plan.
Right.
It takes years.
Gotcha.
To do what, if you think about our initial TIA conversation, that was 4 years ago?
Before COVID.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
right,
So
right.
it's a slow-moving boat, but a
Right.
very wonderful one.
Right.
That,
And it doesn't just pay this year. Is
no,
that
it's for
right?
5 years.
So for 5 years, those educators who've earned it get that bump in salary?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just wanted us to think on, and I'm not going to be on the board when these things might ever be talked about further, but ways to compensate other fields, whether it's fine arts or sports or whatever, where there could be growth. I don't even know how you'd measure it. I have no idea, but I'm just thinking outside the box. Dr. Pratt prayed for vision tonight, so I'm trying to think, okay, what would be visionary? That would be a visionary. If the district could come up with some way to compensate any and every discipline that we're committed to, we're looking for growth, means of growth and measurements that might give them greater compensation. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I just wanted to make mention of that because it's part of what we're adopting under the consent agenda.
Okay, anybody else got anything? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to the considered agenda. Item A, adopt the resolution approving the investment broker dealer list for Tomball ISD 2024-2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion's made by Mr. Shields, seconded by Mr. Lewandowski. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Item B, adopt the resolution stating the board has reviewed the investment policies and strategies for 2024-2025 and designation of the superintendent, chief financial officer, and director of risk management as investment officers for Tomball ISD. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion's made by Mr. Lewandowski, seconded by Ms. Salem. Any discussion?
My only comment, or I think it's necessary, I was telling my employee today about investments with the school district. And he thought it was investments in the stock market. That's the way he interpreted it. And so it's helpful for the public to know that these are remarkably conservative. Text pool is like the only thing we can invest in.
It's not on. There it is.
There are others, but Tex Pool, Texas Class, those investment pools are the safest
Right.
way for us to protect the principal of the district.
So I'm just layman's terms. This is a classic Justin Unser move. So we collect a lion's share of our monies, like in January, February, those months, we kind of peak with monies on hand. And as Zach explained last night, we don't want all that just sitting in the bank. We keep enough cash on hand to pay payroll, a couple of months of that, but the rest of it goes into investment. And we earn interest on that. And that's a fiduciary commitment we've made, and I think it's awesome. I don't know why this has never landed on me, but I think it's incredible that these last 2 years in particular, $4 million, $6 million interest earned to help the general fund and all the expenses and the deficit budget, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. I just wanted to kind of flesh that out because I think that's fantastic.
And we have a policy, an investment policy that's in our policy manual that delineates those items that we can invest in and not allowed to invest in.
Right.
So,
And then I guess I would just add that, yes, the last 2 years have been pretty good, right? We saw 5.2 something last night percent. But to give you an idea of the risk scale, the S&P 500 this year is up 32.5%, something like that, right? So those folks, yes, much higher risk, but they're getting higher reward. Obviously, with government dollars, can't do that, should not do that.
Right.
But we're still benefiting with the 5%.
and I'd actually correct you on that, Justin. I wouldn't say government dollars. I'd say our taxpayers' dollars.
That's a fair statement.
So we got to protect our taxpayers' dollars. And like Zach sets out every time, what's the number one focus of the investment policy? It's preservation of principal. So, but okay, anything else? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. On to item C. Adopt the resolution approving TASB, TASA, TASBO, and its local affiliates Texpool, and Region 4 as investment training providers for 24-25. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion's made by Mr. Shields, seconded by Mr. McLeod. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. On to item D. Approve the purchase of News ELA and formative learning platform for 7th through 12th grade social studies using the TEA Notice of Grant Award for the 24 through 26 Interactive Learning Grant, Cycle 1, in the amount of $225,078.69. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made by Mr. Unser and seconded by Mr. McLeod. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. On to E. Approve the purchase of security camera upgrades from Preferred Technologies in the amount of $901,917.50 using Bond 2021 funds. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Mr. Shields, seconded by Dr. Pratt. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Item F, approve the 2024-2025 Tomball ISD Campus Improvement Plans. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion's made by Mr. Lewandowski, seconded by Mr. Unser. Is there any discussion?
Yes. So last night in specials, we had our panorama survey presented. Really kind of robust bit of information on the way our panorama is used. And highest numbers yet for those completed it. And the panorama survey, I think all parents get it.
Yes.
So parents, please complete it. Do they get it twice a year as well?
Fall and spring.
Fall and spring. All educators get it, but we've got about 1 in 5 educators that are not completing it. Is that about right? 1,600 out of 2,000?
That varies like year to year, but we get, sometimes there's higher
20%.
participation.
Based on the spring participation, we had 1,600 out of 2,000.
About an 80% response rate.
Yeah.
80% response rate. 1 out of
Overall.
5 are not responding. About right. So I wanted to implore our educators, if any of them even watch this, to please complete that because it's incredibly valuable. As we look at 2030, Vision 2030, every campus improvement plan is incorporating some aspect of this information that is about really campus culture. And so then I started thinking, I was noodling on this as I was going to bed last night, because I've asked about this a lot, right? Kind of beat a drum. And I know it's maybe been irritating, asking about panorama and wanting to get more information. I was thinking last night, it's an educator survey. Does transportation have surveys of some kind that assesses the culture of their program or food services?
We have done departmental
Departmental?
surveys.
In central office, does it have a survey kind of assessing the culture of central office?
Departmental, yes.
So all departments,
Have some sort of
some sort
review.
of panorama assessing the culture.
May not be panorama, but some sort of survey review.
Okay, twice a year?
No.
Done semi-annually, maybe once every 2 years? Not annually?
Depends on which one it is, which department, I can get that schedule for you.
Well, no, you don't have to schedule anything for me. This is
Then I
a
could get the
conversation for
schedule.
I understand. I'm inquiring.
Yeah.
The board, do we have any kind of assessment? We don't have a mood of the board, right? I mean, we don't do anything necessarily. Again, these are all great thoughts, swan song kind of thoughts. But I found myself thinking about it. This tool, it's fantastic. And the more data we could collect from any department, from even, okay, how's the board? Survey the public. Yeah, they're approachable. Yeah, they're engaged. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, again, thinking of the way this kind of information can be used to improve our serve. That's ultimately what I was thinking.
Well, we did do a board one with the TASB, 6 months ago? So we do some on the
And
board.
I also think that's a good point, because the measurement of a board is very important. The measurement of a board, to me, as a superintendent, is the success of the district. Because when you have a cohesive board that's working together with administration for what the public wants, that is a measure of a board doing what the community wants, trying to, not every single thing that is wanted, of course, but within budgetary constraints, within what is needed. And when you have a successful high-achieving school district academically, and it's not all about the academics, but that is what we are here for, teaching and learning. We think of the well-rounded child as far as mental health opportunities, fine arts, athletics, and extras. You hear me talk about every year wanting to be able to offer more opportunities for our students. That, to me, it may not be a measurement twice a year, as you're asking, but to me, it's a measurement when you look at the board. That is a very big measurement, one in which should never be underestimated, because I can show you examples of where perhaps the measurement isn't where it should be with districts that are struggling based on the non-cohesiveness of their board members.
Sure, I get that.
That's my response to you.
That's good. No, and I wasn't wanting to institute anything. These are questions I was just wanting to discuss with the
Sure.
guys.
No, I
with
understand.
My board members. But my board members don't seem to have a whole lot to say about it. That's okay.
Nope. Anything else, Lee?
No, thanks, John.
All right. All right, so all those in favor of item F to adopt the campus improvement plans, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to item G. Approve the 2024-2025 Tomball ISD District Improvement Plan. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Was that you, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion's made by Mr. Unser, seconded by Mr. Shield. Any discussion?
Yeah, here I'll make comments, just to thank Dr. Webb, and also Dr. Flores was up there last night and also covering for Dr. Munoz as well, so hopefully she's feeling better, I hope.
Mark White as well.
And Mark White, thank you very much for that, yes, I was going to get there. I said this last year, I'm going to say it again. I mean, the package for this is, I just had pulled it up again, but 1,121 pages of information, and that's covering the district and every campus that's there. That's a lot of paper. I almost asked for it to be printed so I could read it that way instead of draining the battery in the iPad. That's okay.
Thank you for not.
Yes, yeah, save a tree, I guess. But there was a lot of meat in here, and I really appreciate the rich discussion that all of us had up here last night. There were things in there that were kind of new concepts I think we discussed. The vertical integration, I think, is a big one, right? And as I thought about that stuff last night as I was going to bed, kind of the handoff between grade to grade and making sure that things are covered in one and not covered in another, but at the right levels to support each other as the student continues to grow. I also appreciate the question I asked about, hey, are these kind of easy goals or these stretch goals? And you were very honest to say, hey, here's where we're really stretching, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the transparency and the honesty and the fact that we are stretching. As Martha pointed out, and as we know, this is a high-achieving district. Good things happen here all the time, but you can't rest on that. It's not, right. Can't take it for granted. The world's going to continue to change around us, and our kids need to be prepared for the future. So I really appreciate all the work that's gone into this, the delivery last night. I look forward to hearing about this as the year goes on. Dr. Flores mentioned that these are kind of fluid documents. As things change, we learn. We'll make an update here and there. How they're used was discussed last night, where they're brought up in maybe one-on-one conversations with campuses. So this is really a guiding document. It's important, and that's why it takes months and months to put them together. So I like that amount of work that goes into it. The detail in here is very, very rich. I'd love to hear back maybe in 3 months, maybe 4 months, just to say, hey, here's an update on where we are with the district improvement plan. Here's what's working, here's what's not, here's where we made an adjustment or two. I think we'd find a lot of value in kind of hearing how it's progressing along the way, so would encourage you to think about that. That's all I have, but it's great document. Let's bring it back.
Thank you so much, Mr. Unser.
All right. So Justin, as you were talking, you made me think, it was drilled into me years ago by a head coach in Tomball ISD that you don't stay the same. You either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same, so.
You actually reminded me of something else, the 2D versus 3D learning, right?
Science.
For science specifically, right? And so it sounded like, and I'm going to try to recap it, Dr. Webb, if you can kind of confirm or deny, but less about the memorization and more about finding primary sources of information. What is good documentation to go find, and that feeds back into your ECR process and, the race strategy on how to answer questions, things like that. Is that about right on how you would go 2D to 3D? Or what would you add to that?
You're raising the level of questioning in the classroom from a knowledge level more to synthesis and analysis, working with kids to create and not only just to memorize or remember.
And I think that makes sense, right? Today, humans have access to more information than we ever had in the history of the planet, right? So as we learn more things as civilization goes on, you can't memorize every single thing, right? You need to start thinking about how to use the information that's there while we still add to it, right? So to me, that sounds like a natural progression of just humanity, right? And how we kind of keep moving. So that sounds very innovative and new, but I'd like to hear more about that too, and kind of what that looks like in the future. What things are not going to be memorized and what will need to be in this new 3D space. Since that's such a new concept, I think hearing a little bit more about that would be beneficial to the board as well.
Well, and I love what Lee said about the panorama survey, even for a district, our improvement plan, that we can use that and the thought exchange as great diagnostics tools to help improve the district as a whole, and that we can also narrow down to certain areas if we need to, and, you know, tweak things that need to be tweaked, because we haven't reached perfection yet, but
No.
we're striving for perfection.
That's right.
And just to my 7th grade teacher, I was right. I didn't need to memorize my multiplication tables because, as we know now, I have a calculator in my pocket at all times, and I don't need that. So I was still right. Just took a while to prove it.
All right. Anything else? All right. All those in favor for adopting the district improvement plan, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. On to item H. It is recommended that the Board of Education render a finding under Texas Administrative Code Section 249.14G that good cause did not exist as required by Texas Education Codes Sections 21.105C, 21.160C, or 21.210C for the following educator: Tanya Sanders Woods to resign her employment contract, and Natalie Zavala to resign her employment contract. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made by Mr. Shields, seconded by Mr. McLeod. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President, I, take this stuff pretty serious. I went back and looked at, what is cause for contract abandonment. And in this case, I could not find any evidence that was presented by the superintendent around serious illness or health condition of the educator or their family. Couldn't find any evidence about relocation to a new city as a result of some change in their life. I couldn't find any evidence of a significant change in their family needs. And I couldn't find any evidence where, the educator had any written permission from the school district administration to resign or abandon their contract. So I'm in support of this item. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, and I guess I would just add to this. So it's not often that we have folks resign. I think we heard last night that our retention rate is 91%, which is pretty good.
Correct.
And I think we had done some benchmarking a couple months ago, and we are at or the best in that metric in the area, right? So in terms of folks leaving, can you describe kind of what the process is? Do we ask them why they're leaving? Is there any sort of interaction with human talent where it's say, hey, and maybe not so much here in the middle of the year, it's kind of understood, but at the end of the year, exit interviews, that sort of stuff, can you kind of run us through that process briefly?
Absolutely. And we've been talking about this as educators overall. What we are seeing is more individuals that perhaps went into education after COVID for various reasons, did become certificated, or maybe had their certification before but worked in another industry, that don't really feel this is the field they want to remain in. Mm-hmm. And again, that have just said, I'm leaving education. They're not necessarily leaving Tomball, they're leaving the field. We're seeing that much more than I've ever seen before in my 38 years. And whereas I don't want to see people walk out on the profession, or certainly our students, I also don't want individuals working with our students that don't want to be there. Yeah. I always make the statement, the district makes a commitment, this board, all of us, to an individual for a 1-year period. They're paid a salary for a year. It's a two-way. Like, they make a commitment to us, but we commit to them. We commit to pay them for the work that they do. They commit for a year to work with our students. And when you walk away, abandonment, as we say, then our students are perhaps left without a certified teacher until we can fill that position. And that's where we have continued to do, as Dr. Pratt read. If it doesn't, we have an extremely talented human talent department that goes through and will handhold with individuals. If it's a medical need, is it the need of a child? Did you have an infant with an illness that you need to be there? Many things happen. Are you taking care of an elderly parent? And that can be documented. We certainly want to work with people as you would in any industry, right? But in these cases, know that we have spent countless hours perhaps trying to see, is there any way we can rectify and find a way to allow you to leave without sanctioning your certificate? Because that is what happens. This is then sent to the state. The state says for 1 calendar year, you could no longer work in education in the state of Texas. If you leave Texas, that's a different thing.
Sure. But in cases not like this in the springtime, maybe more directly, we do exit interviews, right?
Yes.
Folks that choose to
Every
go to a
individual.
neighboring district, right? We ask, they don't have to answer an exit interview, but we ask every person.
Correct.
And most of the times, I think they do, from what I've seen,
Most,
right?
I mean, it's
Okay.
rare that somebody would choose not to.
And that's just part of the continuous improvement process, right? We
Correct.
try to learn, and maybe there's something that we learn from it, maybe
Right.
not, right? But we still try with every person.
And there's a lot that can be gleaned from an exit interview, perhaps, something more we could provide. If I feel like we try to provide as much as we can, but we certainly learn from those as well.
Okay, thanks.
Fine.
Okay, anything else? All right, all those in favor, raise your hand. And that motion carries unanimously as well. That will complete the considered agenda. At this time, we do have individuals that are signed up to comment on non-agenda items. We have several here. I do have some verbiage that needs to be read first. I will let you know that James Holmes, are you in the house? James Holmes? Okay. Well, how about Paxton Holmes? Is Paxton Holmes here? No? Okay. Jeremy Mahan? Okay. So, Mr. Mahan, you'll be the first one up, all right? But I've got a little bit to read first, but you can start walking towards the podium if you'd like. And behind that will be Michael Murray. Okay, you'll be behind him. All right, so let me read. The board encourages comments about the district from members of the public. However, speakers are required to conduct themselves with proper respect and decorum in addressing the Board of Trustees and in all conduct during the board meeting. Individuals who do not conduct themselves in an orderly and appropriate manner will receive a verbal warning and may be asked to leave the meeting. Due to the large number of individuals wishing to speak tonight, and in the interest of time, the following adjustments to the public comment procedure will apply. Each speaker will be allowed to address the board for no longer than 1 minute. Speakers addressing more than one agenda item or non-agenda. I am so sorry. I'm reading this is the agenda one. Let me go to the non-agenda. So far, we're the same. Let me just go back and just say, again, due to the large number of individuals wishing to speak tonight and in the interest of time, the following adjustment has been made. Each speaker will be allotted or allowed to address the board for no longer than 1 minute. Individuals who are speaking about non-agenda items may only be allowed to discuss one non-agenda item. And I believe that is the case with everybody. So everybody's just signed up for one item anyways. For any member of the public who is accompanied by a translator, your time will be doubled as required by law. We will utilize an electronic timer visible on the right side of the speaker's podium. The first minute will be displayed in green. Once you have 10 seconds remaining, it will change to red. And at the end of your time period, an audible tone will sound to end the session. Remember, the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on the agenda. In addition, the board has adopted policies to provide prompt and equitable resolution of complaints and concerns for employees, students, and their parents, and the general public. Copies of our district policies and procedures on public comment and filing complaints are available on the district's website. Thank you for your concern regarding our district, and we will hear from you now. Give me 1 minute while I set the timer up. All right, as soon as you start talking, I'll start the timer.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Mahan, and just wanted to come and talk a little bit about bringing wrestling into high school here in Tomball ISD. I own a combat sports training facility here in Tomball, and wrestling is one of the programs that we have. We have over about 50 wrestlers in our program. Most of those are coming from other districts around the area, Houston, Katy, the Woodlands, all over, other places that have wrestling. Wrestling is the fastest growing high school sport in the U.S. right now. Over 450 colleges, including 150 colleges that have women's teams, have wrestling, which gives about 13,500 scholarships for wrestling, so that's a big deal right there. Wrestling is a really hard sport, and it builds strong character. It gives you a sense of self, and it teaches you to overcome adversity. It's all about emotional and mental resilience and learning to stay calm under pressure. 13 of our presidents, U.S. presidents, have wrestled.
All right.
And is that it?
Yes, sir.
Quick minute.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it, and we'll be back in touch with you.
Thank you.
But appreciate your comments. All right, Mr. Murray, you're up, sir. Again, same thing. You'll see the timer over there. You got 1 minute, and 10 seconds left. It'll change to red, and then the tone will go off at the end.
Easy enough. Going to be focusing on finance for you guys today. Yep, so I understand Tomball has gone through recent budget reductions. Luckily, the heaviest capital expense for purchasing a mat, which is the biggest capital expense for the wrestling program, can be covered within the first 2 to 3 years from local donations and local residents. And this wrestling club this is basically going to cover all 3 high schools. So what we would be able to do year by year is assess the program or the process of each program and evaluate to determine when's a suitable time to invest in that. Usually those run from $5,000 to $10,000 per school at max. The annual, budgeting system is in Cyprus. They're very generous with their budgeting program for the wrestling program. They give about $10,000 per year, and that covers 2 varsity teams, girls and boys. Areas like Klein, they can get by with anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 per year, and the rest is raised by fundraising. So one of the lowest barriers to entry sports financially. And as he had mentioned, as with the scholarships, the ROI is extremely high for these kids.
All right.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Payne, John Payne, John, okay, you're passing, all right. So Mr. Payne has opted to pass. That brings us down to Jade Rosaliz? No? Okay. Kinsey okay. Kinsey, same type thing, okay? I'll start the timer. You got a minute. You'll see the time clock on your right side over there at the podium, okay? And then 10 seconds left. It'll turn to red, and then the buzzer will go off after that, okay?
Do I start?
Whenever you want to talk, I'll start the timer.
I am a Tomball High School student, and I've been here for 2 years for the high school. And ever since my first year, I have been trying to start a wrestling program, and I have got a large number of people to sign up for it. We do have coaches lined up for it, and tons more people willing to join. And we also have more coaches willing to pay for a mat, and I would really appreciate it if you guys brought it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kinsey. Appreciate it. All right. All right, and then the last person signed up is Savannah Snyder. I'm sorry. Again, same thing, 1 minute. Timer will turn to red with 10 seconds left, and then the tone will go when your time's up.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Susanna Snyder. I'm here tonight to advocate for the addition of a wrestling program as it's a low barriers to entry sport. Unlike many sports that require expensive equipment and facilities, wrestling is relatively affordable. This is particularly important for our district, where a significant percentage of our families face economic challenges. Wrestling is an accessible athletic option for all students, regardless of their sex, body type, experience, or financial situation. Moreover, wrestling opens doors to scholarship opportunities. For many students, these scholarships can be a game changer, providing a pathway to a brighter future. These programs are not just about sports. It's about creating opportunities, fostering inclusion, and building character. And so it begs the question of why do we, a district proud of offering our students great opportunities, still not offer this sport, when even small, resource-constrained districts can and do? Let's give our students the chance to be part of something truly extraordinary and be a destination district for everyone.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments. Okay, that completes the non-agenda items unless anybody else has come in. Did you, okay, and what was your name? Zachary, okay, we haven't concluded this portion, so let's see, wait a minute. Oh, Zachary, I don't see you on here. You didn't sign up? You're not on today's list here, so you got to sign, either you sign up for yesterday or you sign up for today. So on this list, I don't have you. So, but you're more than welcome to sign up for next month, okay? Non-agenda items are handled on Tuesday night. Agenda items are on Monday, but non-agenda items are on Tuesday nights. Okay? That completes our non-agenda items. We have no closed session this evening, and so with that, I will turn the floor open to my fellow board members for any comments they have.
Nothing really big, but I thought my mom was going to be here today. This is her birthday actually today, so I thought she was going to come see one of my last, meetings, but, she fell asleep. But, so if you see her, tell her happy birthday. She has Facebook, so happy birthday. I'm not going to tell her age, but, she's getting up there, so like all of us. So that's it. Happy birthday to Mom.
Oh, there you go. That's great. Happy birthday, Rhonda. I'll text her.
I mentioned it last night, but Friday night lights extraordinaire with our Tomball ISD 44th annual patriotic show. Wow. So I'm just going to do a little advertisement here. Gates open at 6. Expected to be, well, it's already sold out. So parking lots will likely be full, so get there early. Carpool. Weather's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Kickoff time, 7:30 p.m. That's what I have here on the notice. It's at the Tomball ISD Stadium, which is right off of State Highway 99. Don't go to the stadium that's adjacent to Tomball High School. There is a portion of the patriotic show that honors veterans. Very special opportunity to not only see our veterans interact with our students, but see that halftime performance that's just unbelievable from a fine arts performance perspective. The district has coordinated a Black Hawk helicopter to be on site, and then you have also coordinated a fireworks show right afterward, and I think there's some parachute stuff possibly.
A lot of excitement.
Okay. Well, that's great. I would just encourage those that are attending to pay attention to the district communications, especially around the game day traffic flow. From a access point, there are more than just the one at the main traffic light. There's that which is on the north and south there, and so I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great community event, while there's likely a football game that's going to occur too. So, thank you.
I agree. It will be a wonderful event, and like I said, I'm thrilled with both teams, so whoever wins, we'll be excited.
Yeah, Tomball team's going to win, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Tomball's in it.
Guaranteed. Okay. Anybody? Lee, you got something?
A few comments. I want to say yes to wrestling. I'm not speaking for the board. We're not voting on anything, but I hope it comes. I really, really do. Thank you guys for coming and speaking tonight. I also want to say yes to a future with bilingual education for Vietnamese students. Though we're not voting on that tonight, and there are no Vietnamese educators apparently in Northwest Harris County, I hope that's a program that eventually comes to Tomball.
Yeah, there's one.
Well, there's one. I know, I get it, I know, I know. But last night's meeting, we talked about the need for 11. If we were actually going to have that program, wasn't that what Dr. Moreno said? 11, we needed 11 educators? Isn't that what you said?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think that was the number. That's a stretch, but I hope that eventually comes. Maybe magnet campus of some kind. Dr. Z has great dreams for all kinds of things. I wanted to make comment on the TASB conference, my last one. It was amazing, our kids and how they did. We typically have a night where we talk about what we took from the conference. You know, like at the dais, we share a little bit. I don't know if that's tonight or if you're going to do that in November or if it's not going to happen. Do it in November? Okay. Well, I just wanted to, again, congratulate our kids. The thing that did not register with me until our kids were doing that program, that's every year, the superintendent of the year, her district comes and does this big show.
TASA president.
TASA president, forgive me. Which title is it? We don't know. So TASA president, because she was TASA president, our kids went and then did a show. And it had never registered with me just how much work that was. And I was talking to a lot of the kids. It was all on top of everything they were doing, all on top. And these are kids that are driven, right? They're kids that are achieving and doing all kinds of great things, and they did that on top of all of that. So just a big word of thanks to Paulette, to all the band directors, et cetera, the kids in particular and their effort. It was awesome. So that's all I had on TASB. And if we're going to talk about it next month, that's great.
Okay. Anybody? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, that's it? This side of the table? No more? Balance it out? All right. Well, if I don't have anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I think I heard Mr. Unser make the motion and Mr. Lewandowski second the motion. All right. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. We're now adjourned.